The Fruitful Journey, written and read by Jana. Once upon a time, high up in the branches of the very tallest tree in the jungle, lived a little monkey. Her name was Pop, and she was the smallest of all the monkeys in her family. And there were an awful lot of them in her family too. There was Uncle Bong, the biggest and the hairiest and the scruffiest ginger monkey that you could ever imagine. He loved to eat, and even the thickest bottom branches creaked and sighed as he heaved his huge body from one straining branch to another. Then there was Granny Nina, who sat quietly all the way at the top of the tallest tree and observed all the comings and goings throughout the day. She seldom spoke, and she never moved, but her lively eyes were always watching, and she always gave you the feeling that she had something up her sleeve, or at least knew all the things that you didn't want her to know. Pop's mama and papa were always jumping from tree to tree, looking for a better place to nest or rest, or for a nicer, brighter bunch of bananas. They seemed to be forever busy with endless important monkey business. And then, of course, there were Pop's tricky siblings, all 6 of them, all bigger, stronger, and faster than Pop. Now, I don't know if you have an older brother or sister, but if you do, then you know that as wonderful as it is to have an older sibling, it is not always easy. No matter how hard you try to outrun them, they always run faster. No matter how well you can climb, they are always first up to the top, and they snatch the best spots on the highest branches. And most importantly, they always grab the tastiest fresh bananas. Pop loved her bigger brothers and sisters, but for the smallest monkey of all, life was a constant series of challenges. One evening, as Pop was hanging around under the watchful eyes of her mother, on her favorite branch, in the dim, dusky light of the late evening, listening to the calm sounds of the jungle as the racket of the day died down and the nocturnal animals began to awake, an idea crossed her mind. "I have to show everyone how grown up I am," Pop resolved. She thought for a few minutes, and then made her decision. "I will go out into the jungle and get breakfast ready for everyone, so when they wake up, they will have the biggest, sweetest bunch of bananas waiting right in front of them." And so, that evening, as her mother drifted off to sleep after a long day of swinging, she crept out from under her mum's hairy armpit, and as quietly as a jungle mouse she swung from branch to branch in search of the perfect breakfast. But how do you find the sweetest bananas of all? She pondered this question. Then she remembered that the best bananas were a nice warm yellow with light brown spots on the skin. And so in her quest she swung deeper into the thicket from branch to branch and from tree to tree, examining all the fruit that she could find. First she came to a palm tree with fruit that was round, brown, fuzzy, and hard. "Those are not bananas, but I know Dad loves those," she exclaimed. "So I will take some anyway." She pulled off a large palm leaf, folded it into a makeshift backpack, and piled in a few coconuts. Then she swung on, this time to a freshly smelling tree with fruit that was small, orange, and squishy. "These are not bananas," she smiled, but decided to take a whole armful for all of her brothers and sisters. She knew that they loved tangerines. After this, she found a fruit that was oval and red, soft and juicy. "This is wonderful," she thought. "These are not bananas, but my mom simply adores these, and so does Granny Nina. Without hesitation, she scooped plenty of the fresh mangoes over her shoulder for her family to share. The next tree she visited was heaving under the weight of a delicious bright orange fruit. Not bananas, Pop thought, but I know Uncle Bong will be pleased with these. After all, papayas were probably his favorite. The little monkey swung onto another tree branch, but as she jumped, she missed, the weight of her backpack causing her to miscalculate. Falling like a rock, she landed on her bare bottom with an unceremonious thump, her collection of fruit scattering across the ground. For a moment she was dazed, but she picked herself up and dusted off the dirt. After picking up her spillage, she carefully looked around. It was now getting very dark. She could hardly see the outlines of the trees anymore, and only a few shafts of dying light cut through the canopy of the trees above. She stared into the blackness of the night and could not distinguish anything clearly. She began to shiver. "Oh no," thought Pop. "I will have to get back quickly, else I will be lost forever. There is no way I can find any bananas in all this darkness." A growl in the bushes made her climb back into the branches as fast as any monkey could, and carrying her precious bounty over her back, and squinting through the dim light, she returned the way that she had come. When she found her way back to her branch, she put down the fruit and cuddled back under her mum's warm armpit. "Shame I didn't find any bananas," she thought, but she felt so nice and relaxed and safe and cozy that she couldn't help but smile, and she fell asleep almost instantly. In the morning, Pop was woken up by a lot of racket and bustle. When she opened her eyes, she could see all the monkeys gathered around her, staring at the huge and colorful mountain of fruit. They could not believe their eyes. How did all this get here? Pop felt a bit silly. She didn't like all this attention very much, so she quietly observed everyone's excitement from behind her mum's back, not saying a single word, until suddenly there came 3 loud bangs from high up above. Everyone became silent. Their eyes looked up, fixed on the distinct blackish silhouette of Granny Nina, standing tall and proud back against the morning sun, at the top of the highest tree. "Silence!" she spoke in a loud, authoritative voice as she descended among the others with a knotty staff in her paw. "Tell us, do you know where all this fruit came from?" asked Uncle Bong, blinking and looking up towards the wise old monkey. Granny Nina stroked her long hair on her chin and looked directly at Pop. The shy little monkey hid further behind her mum, wondering if it would be possible to blend in with the tree. For a few moments there was even more silence, and then Granny spoke once again. "While we were all sleeping, somebody sneaked out of our camp to bring back this wonderful breakfast gift for everyone." "For us?" the monkeys gasped in surprise and whispered in puzzled tones amongst themselves. "This somebody," continued Granny, her eyes still fixed on Pop, "brought fruit for all of us, except they appear to have forgotten about one particular little monkey." "Who? Who did they forget about?" asked the monkeys, shouting over each other. Everybody wanted to know who the unfortunate monkey was that would have to fend for themselves that morning. And Pop was the most curious of all. Who did she forget about? "Themselves," smiled Granny Nina, who was now standing right in front of Pop, looking directly at her. "Now, what do you have to say for yourself?" she asked sternly, but with a glimmering hint of mischief in her eyes. Looking down, Pop spoke in a quiet voice. "Are you mad at what I have done?" No, laughed the wise old monkey. I am proud of what you have overcome. And with that, Granny Nina pulled from out of nowhere the biggest, sweetest looking bunch of golden yellow bananas covered in brown freckles Pop had ever seen. She handed them, along with the sweetest of smiles, to the littlest monkey. The troop of monkeys all stood still and silent in amazement. Let us always remember that the greatest monkeys of all began small, called out Nina, and immediately the air was filled with cheers and cries of joy. With that, Pop bit into one of her bananas and suddenly felt like the biggest little monkey in the whole wide world. Well, what are you guys all waiting for? Said Pop with her mouth full.